Welcome to another episode of Beyond Her Story on Wonder Woman Wednesday. Today we have with us Anju Bhadoria, the country HR for Marelli. She has had 20 years of experience in HR. Anju has also been recognized as India's 50 top influential HR leaders from IBC, which is the International Business Conferences. So I'm sure there's a lot that can happen in this conversation. So let's start it right away. Welcome, Anju, to Beyond Her Story. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Sneha. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Anju, let's start from the beginning. I know that you have a degree in mechanical engineering, and now you're the country HR for Marelli. So, how did this transition happen?
So this is the question that I get asked every time, because in all the interviews, everywhere, this is the question that I was asked. And there is a story behind it.
Okay.
Why I did my engineering was because honestly at that point of time I didn't have clarity about what I wanted to do in my profession. It was kind of a rat race that everybody was doing engineering, and I also did my engineering.
Yeah.
After engineering, my first job was in TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, and it was a campus placement. And this was my first corporate exposure, where I learned about how corporates work, what are the different functions. And actually, when I got to learn about human resources as a function, it naturally, there was a lot of inclination I got,
Okay.
because I realized the power this function could have in impacting the lives of people, right from giving employment to shaping careers of people and so on.
Yeah.
So I had a very strong desire to transition into HR, and therefore I finally transitioned. So yes, this is the question that I get asked many times, but I feel that this is one of the best decisions I made in life, because I really love being in this profession now for last 20 years.
It's amazing, Anju. Actually, there are a lot of women who realize after 20, 25 plus years of career, like, what I have done. And we've had many women on Wonder Woman Wednesday as well who've transitioned after years of, being in the same field. And I think it's amazing that you could do it in a couple of years or 3 years or something. So, but I'm sure, at that stage, it wouldn't have been easy to switch. I'm sure you would have faced your own set of challenges during the transition. So, what happened during that phase?
Yeah, this was really a very tough decision to make for multiple reasons. One, I had some on-site opportunity in my last role in TCS, which was assumed to be very lucrative, and to let go of it was not easy.
Yeah.
Another thing that made it even more difficult for me to decide was the timing, because my family decided to get me married at the same time. So I was also pregnant when I finally decided to take admission in MBA. So all put together, it was not an easy decision. It was also not backed by my friends, colleagues, or my families. But I was very firm that this was the time when I wanted to do that transition. And I was also ready to bear the consequences of this decision. And I'm very happy that I transitioned into HR in spite of some struggles, etc., because finally it was all worth it.
Yeah. Like they say, right? I think once you take that decision within yourself, I think then you go for it full 100%.
Absolutely. I think, again, this is my learning that if you have conviction to go for something, you don't have to second guess yourself, and not necessarily it has to be validated by others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for sure.
Yeah, I think the youngsters of today can learn a bit from this, because there are a lot of them who get pressurized into doing things and not necessarily pursue what they have in mind. So I think, Anju, it's an awesome decision that you took.
Thank you. But I also think that not only youngsters, the elderly women, in fact, I think all of us as women have something called as imposter syndrome, that we second guess ourselves.
Yes.
A lot of times we doubt our skills. We also doubt our success. So yes, this is true. And I think it happens in all men and women, but maybe more in girls and women.
Yeah.
But I hope that the platform that you provide to women like me, who can come here and share their stories, and somewhere if we are able to influence the girls and the ladies who are watching such stories, can get a little more confident and stop second guessing themselves.
Yeah. So Anju, it's been 2 years at Marelli, and before that you were at Bosch for nearly a decade. And we know that both these are mostly into automotive. And automotive industry is mainly dominated by men. And we now see a bit of women joining. But what do you see as a HR leader? Are women forthcoming and joining automotive, or do you still see a bit of hesitation?
I think that's a great question. First, I'll tell you the scope that automotive industry has in India. You know, in automotive industry in India contributes to about 7.5% of overall India's GDP. It is an industry that can reach $1 trillion in the next 10 years. So it's huge. In fact, India is becoming an automotive hub, global automotive hub. But if you look at the data, it is highly underrepresented by women. So in spite of such a huge scope, it's a pity that the automotive industry in India is still underrepresented by women. Just about 10% of total workforce is women, even though the women workforce is generally lesser in all other industries also. But pharma industry and financial services are much better than automotive. So you are right that there is a lot of reluctance of women. But my belief of having worked in this industry for quite some time is that it's not the nature of work, and it is no more the work that is required, that physical working on the shop floor and things like those, but it's more of the misconception in the minds of women. So I really want to take the opportunity of this platform also to say this loud, that women have everything that is required to become successful in the automotive industry. I'll give you a simple example. I have sometimes met candidates, the women candidates, who believe that they need to know their cars very well or the two-wheelers very well for them to do good in the automotive industry. It is simply not true, because you can learn the car or you can learn the how to design, but what is needed to be successful is that drive, the compassion, and the sense of purpose, that the car that you design or the software that you design has so much impact in the lives of people. As long as you are passionate for this sense of purpose, you have everything to become successful in automotive industry. So I would encourage the girls graduating out of colleges and the women to grab the opportunities in automotive.
Okay. But do you see a change in the trend that maybe, compared to a decade ago, that there are more women joining, or do you still see that there is a bit of reluctance from the women?
No, there is definitely a good change over the last few years. I think that because of a couple of reasons. If you see in automotive, the emerging mobility trends, the nature of work, be it electrification, software-defined vehicles, or autonomous driving, ADAS, all of this, the nature of work is such where there is a lot of flexibility, working from home options. It's no more those strenuous shop floor working. Even on the shop floors, there is a lot of digitalization that has taken place. All of this creates the working ecosystem, let's say, more conducive for also the women workforce. That is the reason number one. The other reason why I think there is more coming forward of women in automotive is the presence of role models around, both globally and locally. Mary Barra, who is the CEO of General Motors, is one great example that some lady can be at the top position in an automotive organization. Also, in the companies that I have worked in India, there are many such successful leaders in automotive who inspire other women, other girls. For example, I have been greatly influenced by somebody who used to file the maximum number of patents in Bosch every year. And so these are the examples and the role models which also inspire more women to come forward to automotive. And at the end, I just want to say that automotive engineering is all about passion. Whoever has that passion for engineering must grab those opportunities.
But I think, Anju, that, these data has to be available to the women, and I think it was really necessary to share that data. So thank you so much. Anju, we are Wonder Woman Wednesday, and, our major audience is women. And we also know that women take a lot of breaks during their career, be it because of weddings and maternity leaves, sabbaticals for their kids' studies and things like that. So you being a HR leader and you being in this for more than 2 decades, what are organizations doing, and what is the thought process that the organizations have in taking these women back?
Yeah, your point is really valid. There is data that says that in India there is an annual birth rate of 2.05 per woman. What it means basically is that at the end of the day, all of us, all of women, end up shouldering more family and societal responsibilities in order to ensure that women do not collapse. They are giving birth to, let's say, 2 children per family, and if they do not collapse being a part of workforce, it is an obligation for organizations to make the necessary infrastructural arrangements for them. Because there is the second side of women who is taking care of either kids, elderly, or personal, whatever milestones they have. So that's the point number one. I definitely see that organizations are quite serious and very, very razor sharp focus is there to bring women back to workforce.
That's good.
And there are business reasons behind it.
Okay.
There is data, and I would basically, this data is pertaining to the automotive industry, but it is largely true in general. The most of buying power comes from women. The 80% of buying power is from the women consumer market in automotive. In fact, this is the reason when I looked at report, even I was pleasantly surprised because the trend of SUVs and crossovers, all of this comes from women being the largest segment.
Even I didn't know, to be frank.
Yeah. And the other thing is that data also proves that when there are more women in organization and more particularly in the top leadership, such organizations invest more in innovation, in research and development and so on. So these are some of the reasons why organizations see a valid reason to make an effort to bring women to work.
Okay.
What I see organizations doing are a lot of things. I can talk about Marelli, for example. We really have worked on creating a work environment that is women friendly. All the policies like 26 weeks of maternity leave, extended child raising leave, ensuring that women have the child care in-house crèche facilities are things that have become a norm today for all the organizations. The other part is the flexibility of the work because of the lesson that we all learned from COVID days that there is a possibility to work from home.
Yeah.
That also provides a lot of boost in making avenues for women to come back. So to summarize the answer for you, organizations are very serious and they make a lot of effort in making the work environment conducive enough for women.
I think that's really good news, Anju. But like they say, there are two sides to a coin, and the women who are on a break should also be willing to, take that bounce back and rejoin their careers. And what do you see on that front? Like, do you see that women do join organizations after they break and continue and do well in their roles?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I have a story to share here. While organizations are doing their bit, when I was in one of my previous organizations, we were trying to bring women back under a campaign called Welcome Back. Similar to this campaign, most of the organizations do. Mahindra does a good job in really bringing women back, and there are many such good examples. But coming back to my story, we reached out to some women on breaks, and I was a part of that exercise myself. And there was a lot of reluctance in women because they doubted whether they were ready to come back. And this has also led to an increase in the organizations to create internal coaching, mentoring, because we did that. We actually got one counselor on board to speak to those women and give them the necessary confidence that they are ready to come back. But what they should do while they are on break are a couple of things that I can definitely suggest. Today we are in times when even during the break, we can regularly invest in upskilling and training and keeping ourselves updated with the trends. So I think that is point number one, that you should figure out some time for your own development in terms of skill development or doing some certifications, reading on your own and things like those. The other thing that somebody can do, somebody on a break can do, you don't have to necessarily block your aspiration to link to what you were doing earlier. You are a great example by yourself. and in some part of the conversation earlier, we talked about how our aspirations evolve.
Yeah.
I think the idea is to be close to your conviction, what you want to do, and invest in that. If you have a conviction to do, you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to do something else in your life, just go for it. Give it your best shot, and I'm sure that if we give our best, there will be things do fall in place. So even while being on a break, it's very important that the women, in fact, it is true for anybody who's on a break, to invest time in something that makes you marketable, let's say.
Yeah.
Either in the form of skill or in terms of transition in career, and then have that confidence. Once you have the conviction, have the confidence and go for it.
Yeah. I think that's very well put, Anju, especially the point about upskilling. I think that's really, really important because, me being in the software industry for 23 years, even I have met a lot of women. And one of the organizations that I was working for, we wanted to take women back. And we found that they are not ready. In terms of, one is, of course, not being well versed with what is the current thing that's going on. And secondly, lack of confidence. So other than the skills that you normally need for your job in terms of, let's say, if you're in software, then programming skills and other things, they should also look at getting their confidence back. I think that is also equally important in upskilling.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think both the points are linked.
Yeah.
If you continue to upskill yourself, or if you continue, let's say, in programming and coding, then confidence will naturally also be higher.
True.
So I think the point is that any woman on a break while raising a child should keep in the back of her mind that children will grow up, they will go out to schools, and then you should not be at a point where you are figuring out about what to do. So it's really, while being on a break, invest your time judiciously so that you are developing yourself.
Yeah. That's really nicely put, Anju. So before we end, do you have some message to our women viewers?
Just a couple of things maybe from my own life. First of all, the confidence that I talked about, I think that's the most important thing. Be confident. Do not second guess yourself. If you have conviction of doing something, do not wait for others to validate for you. Absolutely. And go for it. One particular learning I have from my life is, if you have about 70-80% conviction for something, just go for it. Things fall in place. Yeah. If we have the conviction and if we put our best foot forward, things may do happen. So that is one advice I always give to my fellow colleagues and to everybody. The last thing is, be yourself, be genuine. I think sometimes, because of how life is, we come under pressure and we want to copy somebody. I think just be yourself and do not take yourself too seriously. Have fun in the process, even if you are on a break or if you are transitioning through your career. Have fun in the process, and I'm sure that you will become the best version of yourself.
Awesome. I think this has really been an amazing conversation, Anju. I mean, though I've been in this field in the corporate world for 23 plus years, there were a lot of things that I learned from you, and specifically, I love the data that you put across. So we hope that, when women watch this, they should get inspired to restart their careers in case they are on a break, or at least understand that, the representation of women is necessary in any organization. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me here, Sneha, and this feeling is mutual. I once again, before ending, want to compliment you for the great work that you are doing.
Thank you.
To bring women like me here and giving us a platform to talk about our stories. And if we can influence even one person or some people around, it's great. It's a big achievement for me and for all the other women who have been invited on your show. And I want you all the very best, that your platform keeps growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just one last thing is, I'm sure there will be a lot of women who may want to get in touch with you to know more about how they can, grow and maybe come back and things like that. So we'll leave the link to your LinkedIn in the description, and people will get in touch with you.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to help anybody who wants to reach out to me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.